So Scott is going to be giving us some Scott is doing a PhD for starters. Like, wow, that's amazing. As well as working full time. But
Two jobs.
Yeah, but he'll give us an overview on issues with supplier diversity from your perspective. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kerry. Fit my iPad on there. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the afternoon sessions. I was in the US last week, and obviously when you're not in a meeting, everybody volunteers you for a specific task that nobody else wants. I've got the session straight after lunch, lots of full bellies, tired eyes, so I'm going to be talking about research-based evidence versus reality. So 46 slides to go through, very data ahead. No, there's not. So we'll keep it quite light and quite airy. Hopefully get to the 15-minute points. Hoping to get a bit of discussion at the back end as well. Make it interactive. So as Kerry said, my name is Scott Johnson. I'm the founder of Veteran-Owned UK. So it's the UK's advocacy group for veteran-owned businesses, exactly as it says on the tin. And as I said, we're going to take a look at what is supplier diversity from a research versus reality point of view. So, research-wise then, government definition. What does the UK government say a diverse business is? So they've got a definition published in a joint Home Office and HMRC report dated back to 2016. And they break it down into 4 subsets of what the government considers a diverse business to be. So, small and medium enterprises, Black, Asian and minority ethnic businesses, suppliers from other underrepresented or protected groups, and suppliers demonstrating a diverse workforce within the competition. So, within the UK, outside of government, or even outside of the UK, there's lots of words that are used around the diverse business space. Underrepresented, under-recognised, underestimated is a popular one coming through now, marginalised, underserved. So there's lots of different variations of what diversity can mean within this space. Okay, so what's the corporate reality? So for you guys that are working within the field of supplier diversity, be it on the buy side or interested in setting up programs from a leadership point of view to set up within your organisation. What does that mean for you guys? So from that definition, the 4 subsets put out by the government, there's 2 that we could probably challenge. If I was an argumentative person, I could argue against, and there's 2 that probably represents the reality of supplier diversity programs and what they see out there. So small and medium enterprises. In the UK, the census in 2021 reported there's 5.5 million small to medium enterprises. Of that, 7,700 are actually above the 250 employee size. So everything else, 5,493,300 actually fit that definition of an SME. So does that make it a diverse group of people, a diverse demographic? The 4th one then, diverse workforce. So suppliers that can demonstrate that they have diversity within their workforce, then the government is saying that they can consider that to be a diverse business. Now, what you'll note in the government's definition from the previous slide, they do not state whether this is a privately owned business or a publicly owned business. So within that remit, really, corporate businesses that have got a workforce that they could represent or demonstrate as a diverse background could say, hey, we're a diverse business. We want to be applying for this funding, putting in for this money, tendering for these contracts under that supplier diversity piece. That doesn't really seem fair for what the true meaning of diversity is. So, what does the real meaning of supplier diversity mean? What's the actual groups that are best called out within that definition. So, Black, Asian and ethnic minority and underrepresented and protected groups. They're the main two, the second and the third one within that government definition. So Black, Asian and ethnic minority, so covers ethnic minorities with the exclusion of white British. So there's examples up there from a government definition on ethnic diversities: Black, Asian, Arab, mixed or multiple ethnicity, Gypsy, Irish traveller, Roma, or other ethnic groups. So in terms of advocacy groups that are out there, MSD UK, and I think I saw Jean here today somewhere. MSD UK, they're the certifying body for ethnic minority businesses in the UK. So they're a great contact if you're interested in doing business with those from the ethnic minority groups. So the third bullet point there then in the government definition, underrepresented and protected groups. So this is where it gets a little bit more complicated, and this is the main focus really of my doctorate, being from the veteran community. So my thesis is around how veteran-owned businesses fit into the UK supplier diversity landscape, and where do they come in. The US has got a really strong system and process around veterans, and they're clearly defined within their supplier diversity ecosystem. The UK will lag in behind on that. We don't have that veterans in particular. So that's why I'm focusing on that in terms of my doctorate. But I'm also involved with the Supplier Diversity Council for the UK, and then there's collaboration going on between all the advocacy groups. So underrepresented then. So that's a statistical factor, a fact. A certain number of people within a demographic. So, for example, female-owned businesses aren't statistically a lower number within the UK as a population. But actually, from the 2021 census, there's 51% of the UK population are female. So they're actually a larger number than males, making up the 49. So the representation within, as entrepreneurs, as business owner, is where they come in, because they're less represented in comparison to male-owned businesses. Protected groups. So lots of people talk about protected characteristics in the UK, and the UK government definition is around protected groups. So a little bit expanded on that. So what does that mean in terms of protected groups? So there's basically there's a group or a demographic of people that are protected by legislation from discrimination. So, back on again. The Equality Act is the main driver for that. When people think about protected characteristics, it's the Equality Act that people think of. Age, disability, gender reassignment, whether you're married or in a civil partnership, being pregnant or on maternity leave, race, religion or belief, sex or sexual orientation. So you cannot be discriminated against for any of those factors, and the Equality Act protects you for that. Veterans are under the Armed Forces Act 2011. So within the Armed Forces Act, there's something called the Armed Forces Covenant. And if any of you are from corporate businesses and you haven't signed the Armed Forces Covenant, I'd engage you to go and do that. Take a look at that on the website. It's a great thing to get involved with. But that equally protects veterans, those who've served in the UK, the British Armed Forces, from being discriminated against because of that service. So both those laws provide that protection to those individuals. So that's what comes under the protected groups category. So in terms of advocacy groups, we've got We Connect International, which is for female-only businesses. International organisation, as it says on the label there, global, and they champion female-owned businesses in many countries throughout the world. A great network of business owners there. Out Britain is the LGBTQIA+ owned business sector. Matt and Patrick, two gentlemen that run that, and again a great network worth of businesses throughout the UK from that community. Veteran-owned UK. So can't leave myself off the list there. So we're both a business directory, so the public can go on our website and type in what they were looking for and or where they're looking for it, like Yellow Pages if you like, for those from the military. And then we eventually became an advocacy group because we have this huge number of businesses within our directory and come to lots of veteran-orientated events in London, where many CEOs, C-suite, MDs and so forth are from the military community. They kept asking me, what can we do to get involved with veteran-owned businesses? Can you give us names and help us get them embedded in the supply chain? So we diversified essentially and become an advocacy group as well. So we certify, all the groups there certify those businesses, because a lot of supplier diversity programs, that's the foundation of what you need to do to be able to report that back up. The small minority of corporates allow self-identification or self-certification for those individuals. So tying in kind of what I'm talking about now and how it relates to conversations we've heard this morning already. So in the room today we've got Gareth Brooks over here. Gaz is from an organisation called Awakening Giants, veteran-owned business. So to Matty's point earlier about how trying to reduce your carbon footprint, net zero, can actually impact your bottom line by reducing costs within the organisation. So Gaz's team goes in, works in the data centre spaces, and they go into organisations and they work with you and they can help you reduce your energy usage, therefore your costs, therefore improving your bottom. We've got another organisation called Root Technologies. Now they're an energy company essentially. It is a technology they've developed that takes traffic. So imagine a car park, you've got your vehicles coming in and out all throughout the day, and it uses a compression-based technology that generates power, goes to a battery system, which allows you then to run your EV charging points, your lighting for the car park, for example, or feed it back into your building. Again, reducing your costs and dramatically impacting your bottom line. Carl then spoke about non-financial benefits. So what other things can be done that doesn't actually hit the bottom line, because they're important to people as well. So we've got an organisation called Karma, and they work with veterans in what they call their Green Task Force. Great name, I think. And veterans go out and they'll plant trees based on the company's sign up on how they want to commit to planting trees against value, essentially. So you can directly engage with organisations in Veteran-owned UK, in the other businesses, from a sustainability point of view, as well as impacting your cost and your bottom line. So, why do we do what we do? So what's the purpose of Supplier Diversity Programs? So this is me. I look a little bit younger than it's only about 3 years ago. So this is me in Afghanistan, 2002. It's probably my favourite photo from my time in the military. So we used to go out on jobs throughout Afghanistan, and whenever we see a bunch of kids, we'd have a conversation with them, see what they're getting up to, play a couple of different games with them. We'd share out our sweets and our chocolate and things. So this particular day when this photo was taken, the little guy right front and centre there, they all got their chocolate, and that guy ran off. And we was like, what's going on here? Everybody else is eating their chocolate and trying to fight each other to get the chocolate off them. And this guy just shoved it in his hands. It was Linford Christie straight up the road. So we said to the other kids, where's he gone? So whenever he get given chocolate, sweets or whatever it is, he'd take it home and share it with his sister and his parents, because they didn't get chocolate where they were from. They didn't have anything. This is in the middle of winter. I've literally got every bit of kit I took to Afghanistan with me on. It's about -14 and snowing. He's there in a shirt. Opportunity is why we do Supplier Diversity. It's not about preference or trying to give somebody something because they're from a specific demographic. We want to give people opportunity that don't have access to it. That's the basis of any good supply diversity program, is giving opportunity, because the benefits that they bring to the organisation. People like that kid who'll take an opportunity and do something good with it. So that's why we do what we do, and run good supply diversity programs and get those good organisations within our supply chains and helping us be better people, better businesses. That brings me to my last slide, but maybe 90 seconds? Oh, 50, okay. Any points anybody wants to bring up? Anything they want to build on, add to, challenge against anything I've said? Is everybody still awake?
What are you seeing some of your corporate advocacy groups? What are they saying to you? How are they leading in? What's motivating them really?
There's a mix in it, you know. Any group of people, this group of people within a room, you know, we've all got the right intentions of being sustainable, supporting supply diversity, hence why we're here today. But with a cross-section of society, and business is no different, we see that cross-section coming through. There's lots of great businesses. James Lloyd is here today from CBRE, engage with all the advocacy groups and support and work with all the different backgrounds. And there's a benefit in doing that. You know, corporate businesses that only engage with a small number of advocacy groups, unconsciously you're creating exclusivity rather than inclusivity then. So having dialogue, getting involved with the different advocacy groups that we've named there, Social Enterprise UK, for example, another one on top of that, Disability In, another one on top of that. You're really creating that inclusive environment as opposed to an exclusive environment. But for you guys as corporates and the supply diversity programs, what you're doing is increasing your likelihood of getting a diverse contractor, a diverse supplier into your supply chain, being successful in winning a contract. It's a numbers game, isn't it? The more numbers you have at the front end, the more chance you've got of getting one coming up the back end. If you only engage with one, you're being exclusive, and you say to the other ones effectively, hey, we can't deal with you, sorry, we're only dealing with this one, but you're increasing your numbers. Veteran Owned UK, we've got over 1,700 businesses. Out Britain's got over 800 businesses. I think MSD UK is around 350. So there's a huge number of businesses that you can accumulate and add together to increase the aggregate and have more chance of success. So to answer your question, Gaz, we see both sides of the spectrum. Great corporates that are coming forward, really getting engaged. Supply Diversity Council for the UK, it's all powered by corporates. You know, they've all supplied people into it to help drive that narrative forward. But then there's other organisations out there that are meeting the bare minimum. So we need to have a supply diversity programme. They go on Google, they pick up the top one, and they go with that. And by doing that, you create exclusivity as opposed to inclusivity.
Yeah. Hi, Scott.
Hi.
Thanks for that. It really sparks so many different thoughts. But the one thing that I've got in my mind is the importance of difference. And the importance of difference within high-performing teams. And I think this has been known for a very long time, that high-performing teams need, by their very nature, to have difference. And I think one of the things that I wonder is particularly important is for managers within organisations, directors within organisations, to be thinking about how they can get better at managing difference. Because you can, I think, create much better teams, but you can also feel more confident about bringing in people who are outside of the normal range of abilities that you would normally think of bringing into the team. Because you're worried about how you fit them in, how you assimilate those particular people who may have neurodiverse capabilities.
Yeah, I think you've touched on something that's really interesting to me, cognitive diversity. So particularly in high-performing teams and for the power of problem solving, having a difference of opinion, a different mindset with individuals in a room. Now, you mentioned about managing that. I think there's a different word that needs to go to the top of that, embracing it. So companies shouldn't just look to manage it, because often what you get is it's surrounded in a meeting room and somebody will say something and everybody else says, what a great idea. I was thinking exactly the same thing. You've minimized your success rate there because everybody thinks in the same manner. Having cognitive diversity allows that expansion of ideas, of thought processes, of mindsets, and people will come up with a better solution, a better idea based on that. So there's an internal benefit for employees, and that's the D&I piece, isn't it? Diversity and inclusion, and bringing in a broad range of individuals internally as staff and team members, and really bringing in that diversity. And then supplier diversity is the external companion of that, the same coin, isn't it? The two sides. So you can bring people in on a temporary basis, on a contract basis, on a vendor basis.
Scott, hi, great job. And Chris, the question is really interesting around unconscious bias within teams, and I think Scott did a great job to differentiate supply diversity and diversity and inclusion, so that's really important for the audience. My question, though, is around, for the corporates, how can they measure success? How do they measure, how are their supply diversity programs measured in terms of the success of the programs? Is it access opportunity? Is it spend?
Yeah.
What are you hearing?
Jason and I are obviously on the same page. We talk about this a lot independently on LinkedIn, and it's a great point. Lots of corporates put spend, dollars at the back end as their main KPI, their main driver. And really, is that impactful? That's the question I would ask. So for a corporate to sign up to the $1 billion roundtable and pledge $1 billion per year to go to diverse spend, is that really making a meaningful impact at the grassroots level? That would be the question I would ask. Scott's opinion, I don't think it is. I think it's much more beneficial to have a KPI, for example, as number of businesses engaged and enabled to scale by 25% within a calendar year. Because what you're doing then is taking a smaller business, supporting them, educating them about the onboarding process, what it means to work with a corporate, and giving them a responsible level of contract that they can scale off the back end of it. Because all the businesses within any of those advocacy groups that I've mentioned will generally recruit from the group that they're from. Veterans employ veterans, women will employ women, and so forth. So you're getting a double impact there as a corporate, and you're getting that impact both at the business level and at the community level. So it's hugely important. If your driver is dollars, pounds, euros, whatever it might be, all that ends up happening partway through the year, the end of Q2, coming into Q3, people start to panic. We need to put contracts into diverse businesses. And they'll just end up going along and saying, hey, do you want this contract, 10 million, 20 million? And there's two things that happen. Either a business will say, yes, absolutely, give it to me, and they'll drown under that pressure because they won't be able to finance the wage bill, they won't be able to finance the equipment, they won't be able to finance the raw materials, and that business will collapse and go bust. For the corporate, they've got to start the process again, so it's not beneficial to anybody. Alternatively, you're putting it into a diverse business that's huge, and they can carry that level of spend. So are you genuinely benefiting that community that you're putting into them, or are you generating... The example I always use is Theo Petitis. Robert Dias, Theo owns that, and it's a privately owned business. You can go and spend millions with them as a contract, for example, to supply hardware. Does that benefit the community? They're, almost a privately owned corporation, so you're not getting that impact. Be more, think more out of the box when it comes to your drivers. as corporates, and what can actually be more beneficial to the end user at the back end.
Right, I'm going to intervene. I'm so sorry.